Hey, this is GatorX, and as the countdown to Sword and Shield continues, there's a whole lot to think about in terms of what these games might hold. And so recently I've just been thinking about what features could potentially be in this game, whether they be new features or returning features. For the most part, I kind of want returning features just readapted or changed up, or maybe just some things that we've learned throughout the past few years, again, changed up and made a little better for this new game. So today I'll be talking about 4 features that I want to see in this game, because I can never really get 5. So obviously first off is trainer customization, because that's something that has kind of been discussed here and there. I think it's all but confirmed for this new game. Now, we did have it in Generation 6 and then again in Generation 7, and for a while there was a point in the build up to Generation 7 Sun and Moon that we didn't exactly know if there would be trainer customization, but lo and behold, there was. What was great is that we got an extra skin tone and more clothing stuff, but the clothing options still aren't the best. Now, of course, there are some cool outfits here and there, but there weren't even jeans in Sun and Moon. Well, there technically were jeans, but give me the full-on jeans. Thankfully, we see them in the trailer for Sword and Shield. Although I would definitely like to see some more expansive options, especially for the boy character. I mean, I'm not a beanie fan, and this specific one in the trailer looks really stupid. I mean, with Generation 6 and 7, when I've replayed the games, I just end up playing as a girl so I can get the cool clothing options. And you know what, just expand all the clothing options in general. I think that this is just a minor thing in the grand scheme of Pokemon, obviously. But the fact that we got better options in Generation 7 as opposed to Generation 6 gives me some hope that in Gen 8 we'll see just a lot more expansion. Although really the main issue is me, because whenever I customize a character to look like myself, it just ends up looking like a default character. But I mean, hey, at least I can wear some cool sunglasses again, hopefully. Next up is something that I mentioned in my Generation 8 wishlist about a month ago. I don't exactly want any new gimmicks. Now I know there's a lot of discussion about armored Pokemon and more regional variants, but again, those are all just rumors, and I think it might be cool or interesting, and personally I've said that if there is going to be any sort of gimmick, I just want Mega Evolution to come back. But even then, I really think just the right way to go is to add more evolutions of older Pokemon, like what Generation 4 did. Because while regional variants and Mega Evolutions and stuff are like a good way to revisit these Pokemon, it doesn't exactly fix them or build upon them in the way that a full-on evolution would. Again, if they're going to include anything like more Z moves or new Mega Evolutions or a whole new form of anything, I just think that Mega Evolutions might be best if they're going to go that route. And because I personally thought Mega Evolutions were cool, and I'd like to see a few more of them. Rather than creating a new gimmick, I think it might be good to just go back and revisit a previous one, because otherwise there just become too many options for Pokemon. And with over 800 individual Pokemon, there already are a good amount of options, so I just feel like that would work out best. The next one is the Dex Nav. Now this is something that I've been talking about for a while, and while I was charmed by Pokemon appearing in the overworld in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, I am glad that we have regular wild encounters back in the game. However, I think it would be best to build upon it in some way. And in the trailer, it does look like the player character is moving slowly. Again, I don't know if this is just because they're in grass and that'll cause you to move a little slowly when you're in it, or maybe it's an intentional sneaking mechanic that's brought back from Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Because I feel like the Dex Nav is the best way to keep traditional wild encounters mixed in with Pokemon appearing in some fashion in the overworld. And in fact, while we're at it, just bring back the PSS as a whole. Now, the main issue, I suppose, is that the Switch doesn't have 2 screens like the 3DS did, and so it can't really be the home for the PSS. But in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, we did have the feature to play with Pikachu or Eevee just moved into the regular X menu, so if you keep everything there, it shouldn't be too difficult. And while I think the Dex Nav specifically is a little far-fetched, I think at least adding the PSS and all those features just into the regular X menu would be the best idea. And lastly, I want some more integration with Pokemon Go. Now, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee were some neat little games. One thing that I thought was really cool is that they actually just finally brought in the integration with Pokemon Go, because for a while it just felt so separate from the main series games. And while for the most part spin-offs are, I feel like something like Pokemon Go is just a better way to have additional ways of getting more Pokemon. For whatever reason, it feels easier to find and capture Pokemon in Pokemon Go as opposed to some of the ones in the actual main games, and allows you to get multiple legendaries. Of course, having it appear later in the game, or maybe even something just straight up in the post-game, would be a good way to balance things out. Or maybe just Pokemon Go itself being currently only 4 generations would be enough to not necessarily bottleneck the Pokemon that you can bring into the new games, but at least just prevent you from dumping like, your hundreds of Pokemon from Go into the main games. I definitely think that maybe some sort of restriction should be in place, but currently I think just having this Pal Park-like area at the end game would work out. And so those have been 4 features that I want to see in Pokemon Sword and Shield. Now, a lot of these again are just previous features that I'd like to see adapted or changed, but if there are any new features that you think should be implemented, let me know, and maybe that's something I'll talk about at a later time. Thank you all for the support that we've been seeing over on GatorX Plays with the gameplay videos and the podcast, which, by the way, there's a new podcast video out now. We made it to episode 4, so yeah, the podcast is actually doing really great. And again, like I said, your guys' support just means so much. This previous episode, we actually did talk about Pokemon, so if that's something you want to hear, there'll be a link in the description, there'll be a card at the top, and card at the very end of the video. Anyway, if you enjoyed the content, remember to leave a like and subscribe to show your support. You can enable notifications by clicking the bell icon next to the subscribe button. This will make sure you see each new video as it comes out, and will make you a member of the Galar region featured Chingling squad. I'm running out of specific names for these guys. Anyway, this has been GatorX. Have a nice day.